this morning we're going to reshoot 65.3 grains of Reloder 23 5 off. I went back and looked, and that flyer out of the group, so there were two about an inch apart, and then the flyer out of the group was actually Winchester brass. When I was trying to fix my bolt click issue, I was playing around with the both brasses with the different dies, and I got a Winchester in there. That was the slow one, and it was also out of the group. The other two would have been right in the velocity that I'm chasing, and so we're just going to shoot it. If it shoots small again, then that's probably what I'm going to run. If not, then we'll probably run the 65.5 as far as the load that I'm actually going to use with that. Now, I don't even know if I'm going to run it just because of the bolt click issue. It's not something I want to take hunting because I don't want to have extraction issues. But I've got it dialed in. I got the target up. We're going to go ahead and shoot these three. .2830. That's a little slow. .2822. So I do think this is probably a little on the slow side. .2829. So we'll let this barrel cool. ES of 8. This says 9. But, it's a little slower, I think, than the node is. Let this cool down. I'll go down and mark the target, and then come back and talk about what we're going to do next. All right. So I went back and looked at all of the numbers, all of the data from the first shot out of this, and what I saw was the first time out where I shot the Reloder 26 optimal charge weight and it showed promise, the velocities were 2890. It wasn't near as a wide node as the Reloder 23, but there were two powder charges that had consistent points of impact at 2890. I went home and cleaned the barrel and continued load development, and going back through all my data, the speeds were in the 29, 24. So what I've done is I've gone and I've reloaded 5 thousandths off at 69 or 67.6, 67.8, and 68.0, and we're just going to see if there's something a little bit slower. Hopefully, I won't shoot them all unless this 67.6 is actually lower than the 2890, or at least in the vicinity. But we're going to go ahead and shoot them. I think, as Jen Psaki would say, we're circling back. Okay, that's 2869, which is good. We're slower than at where I think the node is, so hopefully we can work up into it. 2877. $28.78. See, we're about 80 foot per second, 70 to 80 foot per second below where I see any signs of pressure with this Reloder 26, and I'm still getting bolt click. It's not a pressure issue. Now, you will get bolt click if you are over pressure, because it does expand the case walls out beyond the chamber diameter, but it's not a good indication of pressure. Yeah, there's absolutely none. Like I said, we ran this up to pressure. It was in the, I don't remember the exact number, 2960, 2970, but in any case, that was a 2875 average velocity ES of 9. We'll go mark the target. We're below where I think there's a possible node, so that's good. We're going to go up 2/10 and then go up another 2/10. It is worth noting that the wind's blowing about 10 miles an hour in our face, which is one of the worst winds, because sometimes it's blowing to my right, sometimes it's blowing to my left. So I am going to ignore all horizontal for today. Now, at some point, the gun or the rifle, the load, is going to have to prove that there's no horizontal. And with the Reloder 23, I wasn't seeing horizontal. The loads that were out of tune were mostly vertical. But we're going to go mark the target, let this cool, and we'll come back and continue. All right, that was a sub half minute group. With a good ES, so that's promising. We're gonna go up 2/10. This is 67.8 grains of Reloder 26 5/1000ths off with the 215 burger. $29.01. $29.08. So I don't like the fact that the velocity changed so much, but it looks to me like the point of impact vertically is the same, which I do like. We'll go down and mark it and continue up. All right, when I shot that group, the wind was mostly blowing to the right, well, like an 11 o'clock wind. So I've got two over to the right and then one in the group with the rest of them. It's still a sub half minute vertical. I think right now, if I were going to run Reloder 26, and I'm gonna have to do some more testing with it to get my confidence in it, but it does look like that node that I thought was gonna be there is there. In any case, if I'm gonna run it, I'm probably gonna run 67.8 and split the difference on those last two. We're gonna go ahead and shoot this last three. They're gonna be out of the node most likely, but I'm here and I'm gonna go ahead and collect the data. $2,900. 2894. $28.80. So that's promising. I like that it came back down. I don't like that the S is so high. The S of 20 with an average of 28.91. There is definitely a node there, so that is what I saw on the target the first time out, right in that 28.90 area, and we're seeing it now on the 500. So I don't ever recall going out and starting an optimal charge weight, going home and cleaning the barrel, and then coming out and shooting again with the same loads essentially, and seeing a barrel speed up immediately, or a velocity increase, whatever you want to call it. If it has happened to me in the past, I've overlooked it because there could have been a number of reasons. I mean, it could have happened and the accuracy was so bad when I went out the first time that it just wasn't worth looking at again. I don't know, but in any case, I don't recall seeing something like this happen. But it definitely, based on the target down there right now and what the chronograph is telling me, I definitely skipped over the node with the Reloder 26. Now, whether or not I'm going to end up running this, there's definitely a node there at 28.90. It's kind of hard to tell. It looks to me that's going to be right at a half MOA. But in any case, I'm going to go mark the target and we'll take a look at it. When I'm done with the load development on this, I'll kind of try to make a separate video walking through the thought process and how I came to the conclusion that I came to. I think that you guys can draw your own conclusions from the videos that you've already seen on this rifle. What I will say is, do like the optimal charge weight and the ladder test, the way I do it. Are there quicker ways? There might be. I would argue that if you didn't tweak it as much as I tweak it, you could have a load in 20 to 30 rounds, and usually I do. I guess that's really no different here, other than the fact that I started with Reloder 26 and I didn't think it was going to pan out, and then we went to Reloder 23. What all that extra stuff is really just collecting extra data and proving that load. So I also see a lot of guys talk about whether or not you should shoot 3-shot groups, 5-shot groups, 10-shot groups, whatever. I think when you do load development the way I did, you've seen enough to know that the load's going to shoot. It shot consistently at 100 yards, even if it wasn't those tiny one-hole groups that everyone wants. It's consistently sub half minute. You take out to distance in that same velocity node, it's still sub half minute. And the loads that I'm going to end up running, the velocity nodes that I'm going to end up running, even after the barrel has sped up, they've been consistent. So we'll stick with the Reloder 23 because we've got the most runtime with it in this rifle. But right there at that 28-40 range, 5 thousandths off, it's consistently been sub half minute, and the point of impact has been very consistent. You could go shoot 20-shot groups, but I've probably put probably put 6 groups on paper, and they're consistently doing what we expect out of a hunting rifle. So I think that says it all. Like I said, I'll make a separate video walking through the process, but I think we're going to do some more shooting with this Reloder 26 load just so I can get some confidence in it, and then determine whether I'm going to use it or the Reloder 23. Alright, so here we go. This is the 300 WSM from this morning. The ones with the 3s on them, those are 65.3 grains of Reloder 23. There was some left to right wind intermittently, but I think based on everything I have collected, I would run the 65.5. It's going to give me that velocity of 2840 to 2845. Okay. So then the other ones are Reloder 26, 5,000 off with a 215 burger, CCI 250 primers, and the ones we labeled 6, which are here, here, and here, are 67.6, and then the 8s are 67.8, and then the zeros, my handwriting is not great, zeros are 68.0, and the average velocities were from 2875 to 2900. You can see the point of impact was very consistent. I've had some followers ask what I'm looking for in a load. This is what I'm looking for. Now, ultimately, we all want those quarter MOA groups, but they're not going to repeat day in and day out. They're just not in a hunting rifle from field positions, prone with a bipod and a rear rest that we would carry into the field. If they would, then we would be shooting them in 1,000-yard bench rest and F-class, and we'd be winning. Those guns are purpose-built, and these guns just aren't going to compete. So I'll take something like this right here. This is what I'm looking for. Now, I got off on the wrong foot with the Reloder 26, so I'm definitely going to have to reshoot this to feel confident, but realistically, you're talking about 9 shots from 67.6 to 68.0 of Reloder 26. 9 shots sub half minute. This is why I don't think that you need to shoot 10 and 20 shot groups. We just shot 9 over 0.4 of a grain of powder, and I know this is only 500 yards, and I advocate for shooting longer distances all the time, but right now I just don't have it available. I will want to see this hold up longer range, but in my experience, if it will do this, it's going to repeat. And like I said, I will take this. So 0.4 of a grain shooting sub half minute over 1 or 2 quarter minute groups any day.